really appreciate it. Really appreciate being here. Excited to talk to you a little bit about the recent report that we produced and what we're learning about the region in terms of the jobs that are available and whether students are ready to fill those jobs as sort of some context for career connected learning in the Northwest region. So I'm Dr. Jenee Myers Twitchell. I'm the Chief Impact Officer at Washington STEM. And I'll tell you a little bit about what Washington STEM is and who we are. So we're a statewide education nonprofit and we leverage STEM. STEM is not the end all be all of everything, but we leverage STEM for social change because our economy, each economy in Washington and the overall economy in Washington state relies very heavily on STEM jobs. And we know that actually STEM jobs and those jobs that require STEM literacy are the most likely way to attain long-term economic security. We were founded in 2012, so we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. And we, what we do is we partner and convene with STEM networks all across the state. And one of them is the Northwest STEM Network. And we work with them alongside business, education, and community leaders to identify and scale solutions. And then we provide direct support. And one of those pieces of direct support is providing the kind of data needed to understand what local jobs openings there are, especially in STEM, what the pathways are, and how students, especially local K12 originating students, are doing along those pathways. And then we advocate for change. So the kinds of feedback that you all can provide about what's going on and the kinds of changes that are needed, we take to the statewide legislative level. So let's dive in. So many of you might remember that there was a report that came out from BCG about 5 years ago that said that Washington State was going to be experiencing huge numbers of job openings during the period that we're in right now, to the tune of 740,000 job openings across the state. And that was really kind of a wake-up call and also a way for businesses to say, yeah, we know this is what's happening, we're experiencing it. And what we heard from folks like you through the STEM networks is that that number is big, but we don't know what it is that is going on in our own region. Can you tell us what are the jobs, what do they look like, and what can we do about it? And so we took the same approach over this past couple of years. And instead of counting all jobs that would be open, we focused in on counting entry-level jobs and jobs that pay equitable wages. What that means is entry-level jobs are jobs that don't require 10 or 15 years of experience or management. These are jobs that folks can get right out of high school or right out of getting a higher education credential. And equitable wages, we focused on both self-sufficiency wage and family sustaining wage, because we want to make sure that we're getting folks ready for the jobs that are lasting and that can interrupt cycles of poverty. And so when we did that, we actually saw that across the state, there were going to be 385,000 openings that were entry level and that were at self-sufficiency. And if you looked at just family sustaining, so meaning folks could have somebody who was dependent, it was actually about 150,000 job openings, which is still a lot of job openings. And this is on an annual basis. And then we took that and broke it down by region. And that's what we're going to talk about today for the Northwest region of Washington. So in the report that I'm referring to, which is called STEM by the Numbers, we're going to focus in on just one page of that report that has a lot packed into it that is really helpful for understanding why career connected learning is needed in this part of the state. So I said that we were focusing in on jobs that pay a family sustaining wage. And I should say that we didn't put in the word entry level because it was obvious, but I'll add it here for your benefit. And so what it looks like in the Northwest region is that on an annual basis, even with COVID, because we're really bouncing back in this region, there are going to be a little under 11,000 job openings that are entry level that pay a family sustaining wage each year in the region. And these are jobs that are true openings, not just within job turnover. This is true openings because of growth or because people are truly exiting the workforce or retiring. Now, when you look at all of those jobs and break them down, we're going to talk about the rest of this visual here. And first, what I'm going to talk about is what you're looking at is the kinds of jobs that pay family sustaining wage, and then the ones that require a credential. So before we go any further, let me tell you a little bit about what we count as a credential. This is anything after high school and inclusive of 1-year certificates, 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, and apprenticeships. All of those are counted as a credential. And so this is not just college, this is everything after high school in what I just named. And so when you look at this graphic of all of those 11,000 jobs annually that will be open at entry level that pay a family sustaining wage, we're showing that 78% of them, 78% of them are going to require one of those credentials that I just named, and 44% of them not only require a credential, but also require STEM literacy. So let's break down those numbers a little bit further and focus in on the ones that I just talked about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to a tool that Washington STEM created to help us understand what those jobs are, what the occupations are, what credentials are needed, and what wages they actually lead to. So I'm going to stop my screen share and switch over. And you should be able to have this link on the website where you're accessing this, so that if you want to go and play around with this tool, you will be able to. So what I'm pulling up is the labor market data dashboard on Washington STEM's website. And when you go there, you're going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, or to the near the bottom of the page, and it's easiest to look at by clicking on full screen. And I'm going to navigate you a little bit to what you're looking at. When you go here to the top, you can pick a region of the state. I've already selected the Northwest region of the state, as you can see. And I've also selected all jobs, not just STEM jobs. It comes up as a default showing just STEM jobs. And the other setting that I have is the regional median wage being around 43,000 or above. That is roughly, it's above self-sustaining and near family wage. So the jobs that you're seeing that are projected to be open each year by occupation grouping are all of those jobs that I was talking about that are entry level, which is the default over here, where you can pick the kind of work experience required, and they pay that family sustaining wage. What you'll probably notice right off the bat is that the majority of these jobs require some sort of credential beyond high school. If you were to see a lot of pink and purple, that would mean that the jobs, you can get that job with no formal education credential or just a high school diploma. But as you can see, there's very little pink and purple. When we go down and select for just STEM and STEM literate jobs in this region, you'll see that the pink and purple almost completely drop off. And instead, the vast majority of jobs in this region require an apprenticeship, require some sort of 1 or 2 year degree from a community college or certificate program, or a bachelor's degree. And that's really telling for the kinds of jobs and what they pay and the kinds of credentials needed. So again, feel free to play around with this on your own. The link should be available. Just look through what the job openings are. And when you are playing around with it on your own, what you'll actually see if you click through those different jobs and as you hover over the occupations, what you'll see is that the jobs that really come to the surface, this is probably no news to you, are in the region maritime related, IT related, K12 teachers, healthcare professions, especially registered nurses and medical assistants, and those who are in manufacturing and production. These are also jobs that happen to weather the COVID-19 unemployment situation that we're getting through right now. And all of them require some sort of post-secondary credential. Now let's focus in on the last thing on this page, which is that what we're also projecting when we look at the region's K12 students and the credentials that those students are getting is that those students will only be able to take up about 23% of the jobs that are open each year in the region. So let's talk about that a little bit different way. The Northwest region, the 4-county region, has about 4,000 students in each graduating high school cohort each year coming out of high school. And of those, about 2,000 are on track to earn one of those 1-year, 2-year, 4-year, or apprenticeship credentials. And remember, there were over 10,000 open jobs each year that are entry level and well-paying. So what that means is that each year when those job openings are available, as you can see, only about 23% of them would be filled by local students. In fact, if we ensured that every single high school student who came out of the school districts in the 4-county region got a credential, there would still be more than enough entry-level, well-paying jobs for every single one of those students who came out of the K12 systems in the region. So what do we need to do about this? This is a graphic that we've created to show on the top, the yellow and dark yellow is the state's goal of getting to 70% of students out of our K12 system earning a credential. The region has the same goal to get to that 70%, and that's in the orange and light orange. And if we do nothing, you'll see in the light orange, by the high school class of 2030, we'll see just a little over 2,000 getting credentials. And really, we need to have 3,000 or more of those students earning a credential to be on track. So what do we do with this knowledge? And as you look at all of the other videos on this site, it's important to get involved and to provide, if you're an employer, experiences, especially paid experiences, to support students to explore careers. And also get involved in understanding the pathways at local K12 students and local colleges. If you aren't already connected to local K12 schools or local colleges, find out what they're offering and see if you can help them think about the pathways and see if you can nab those students right when they come out of those credentials. The Career Connect Washington initiative and the local efforts that are happening in Career Connected Learning in this region are specifically poised to focus on those 2,000 students that we talked about who need support in earning a credential and getting the skills they need on taking these jobs. So listen about how you can be engaged in these efforts as you hear all the other amazing stories on this site.